Oh, the world sure feels noisy and a little unmoored. Same power structures and playbooks, different decade, but same outcomes. What? We need to change the game. But Women Advancing isn't about fixing women. We're busy reorienting leadership for the world we're living in and the one ahead. I'm your host, Kate Byrne. Each week, I talk with the women shaping what's next. Join us as we reset the compass on Women Advancing. Hey everyone, it's your host, Kate Byrne with Women Advancing. Today we're taking a slight little shift, but it's a really important conversation because I've been doing a lot of thinking lately about, things we're taught not to talk about. And one of the things that I believe the Women Advancing platform does is it gives voice to people that are working on amazing, amazing projects. Some of these amazing projects include speaking up when they see real change needing to take place. It could be in the form of justice, race, power, because there's a tremendous cost of silence. So my guest today, Cece Jones-Davis, is exactly one of these voices. She's an extraordinary spiritual leader, artist, and a relentless advocate for justice. She spent time working with the Obamas, and she's more recently known for the work she did on the Justice for Julius campaign with Viola Davis, fighting against and getting a stay of execution for Julius Jones. Get into that a little bit later. Cece has stepped into so many spaces that many of us would rather avoid and brought both courage and compassion with her. Our conversation, it explores the moment of silence when that moment of silence was no longer an option. What it takes to speak truth inside of resistant systems, how one's faith can sustain leadership, both professionally and personally, and what courage costs and what it gives back. Ours is a conversation about voice and conviction and what becomes possible when women speak the unspoken. So let's listen in and be sure to stay to the end for my KB takeaways. This is a powerful episode. Do not miss it. Thanks. Oh, Women Advancing listeners, thank you so much for joining. We're really in for a treat today. And I always think it's so funny. Timing is such a magical thing, and today is really proof of that. We're fortunate to be joined by Cece Jones-Davis, who is a spiritual leader, an activist, and an artist. And she weaves all of her gifts and talents, frankly, to give voice to the unspoken. So we're going to talk today with Cece about leadership, courage, and justice, because she's done some amazing programs in each. Cece, welcome to Women Advancing.
Oh my gosh, Kate, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
You honor me by being here. Before we jump right into all the work that you've done, which is amazing, share with everyone a little bit of your background and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm from a really small town, and I had a good old Christian Southern raising. And I went to Howard for undergrad, which was a very, very formative time in my life in terms of understanding myself better, my people better, culturally and historically. And there was such a pride in being in such a beautiful, positive environment with so many beautiful Black people. And so my time at Howard really, really informed my journey a lot. Then I went to Yale Divinity School because I felt a call to ministry. And that was also really formative in so many ways. Jumping from a historically Black university to PWI, a predominantly white institution, is quite the culture shock, right? And so I had that culture shock, which was good for me. And it was a really, really rigorous theological education where my faith was kind of dropped at the door and scattered all over the floor. And my 3 years of divinity school were about piecing that faith back together the best I could. And some pieces didn't work anymore, right? And so that was really, really formative. And I got into activism. I've really felt that my ministry didn't necessarily fit totally within the confines of the church walls. So I wasn't looking to be a pastor or anything, but my ministry has evolved from then to very much working at the intersections of faith and social justice. And that's what I have done for the last, 20 some years around all kind of social justice issues, things that mean a lot to me.
And you did a stint with the Obama administration, yeah?
I did. I was very, very honored to be a part of the Obama administration. And it was so special, because so many of us didn't even think that that was possible, that it
Yeah.
was possible to have the first Black president in our lifetime. So I would have done anything within the Obama administration. I would have mopped the floor. I would have done anything, but I ended up working at the United States Trade Representative's office under Obama's cabinet member, Ambassador Ron Kirk, who was actually, by the way, the first Black mayor of Dallas, Texas. A tremendous experience. I learned so much from Ambassador Kirk, but also just being a part of that administration. And so I'll just say that going from that to what I'm seeing now in federal government is quite the leap, quite the leap. And I know that your listeners will be folk from across the political spectrum, but Lord have mercy, as a person who's been on the inside of it, it's quite the leap.
Yeah. And it didn't take that long when you think about it.
It didn't take long at all, and it's very distressing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to just dive in because as we were just kind of, getting ready and setting up, we were talking about how everyone knows times are crazy, crazy.
Yeah.
So I want to talk though, because you keep coming up to and facing, and I want to hear when it happened, this moment of courage, because, you've stepped into conversations so many people are afraid to touch, especially around justice, race, the death penalty, and I'm even going to say spirituality,
That's right.
right? Right? So, was there a moment when you realized, you just couldn't be silent any longer and it wasn't an option?
I can't tell you that there was a moment. And I think it's because to such a degree, it comes so naturally for me.
Mm.
I come from a very strong lineage of women Black women in the South who, in very hard circumstances, found a way to use their voices for what was right. And so that was demonstrated through my grandmother, and I watched that.
Mm.
That was demonstrated through my mother over and over and over again. And even as, a little kid, I grew up with, of course, my twin sister, Lele. She would always tell us, stand up, stand up. We were little kids. And if we came
Yeah.
home complaining about something at school or, something that we just didn't think was right, she would say, it's not right. Well, then stand up, you know? And
Yes.
so I was really, really blessed to be formed by women who embodied having a robust voice and using their voices in such responsible and sacred ways.
I love that addition of sacred because that really is the work, right?
Absolutely.
In so many ways. So I know by doing this, was there, did it cost you anything? Was there, or did it change things, or how did this impact life as you know it? Because that's a lot of times why, as I have experienced and also seen, so many people sort of hesitate to really stand up and say something because,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, either they don't want to ruffle feathers or they don't really want their lives to feel the ripples of what is only natural for things to change.
Yeah, when folks ask me that, I always say there's always a cost to doing what's right. There's always a cost. And for me, early on in my spiritual journey, I decided that I wanted to follow in the way of Jesus.
Mhm,
And his words always ring out to me about counting the cost, right?
mhm.
That to do what's right, to be who you believe you need to be, to embody the nature and the heart of Christ. Everybody's not going to understand. Everybody's not going to like you or love you. And we come to a place, I think, in spiritual maturity where we understand after having some bumps and bruises along the way, having our feelings hurt, being disappointed, all these kinds of things, that we come to a place where we know we have to choose.
Mhm.
And if you're choosing what you believe is right, then you have to, for the rest of it that you can't control, you have to be okay with letting the chips fall where they may.
Mhm.
I've had to do that several times in my life, right? And so courage is not, I don't believe anything that's born in us. I really don't. I think that courage is something that's exercised in us. It's
Mhm.
strengthened one action, one event, one moment at a time, you know? I remember when I was, in divinity school, I I had such a burden for folks at the time that was this was early 2000s, folks at the time, the nation was still grappling, and is still grappling today a lot with, the HIV/AIDS epidemic.
Mm.
And, I decided that I wanted to figure out how to get close to that issue, because I just had a desire to know more, to help. And I started to volunteer at a hospice called Leeway Hospice, and it's one of the oldest AIDS hospices in the country.
Wow.
And I remember calling home so excited that, oh my gosh, I found this place. I'm going to go start volunteering at this AIDS hospice. And I remember my mother, my family were like, oh my God, you're going to put yourself in danger. Because, of course, lots of folks, were then and still are very misinformed about things like that, right? And so I
Yep.
just remember everybody being so concerned about my safety and calling and saying, should you be doing this? And I did it anyway, to the distress of my family members, and that was me, I was 21, 22 years old, right? But
Yep.
I had that burden, and really HIV/AIDS advocacy was my entry point
Ah.
into the world of activism, because I saw for the first real time in my life folks who had been pushed to the absolute margin of society at a time when they needed us the most.
Mhm.
And that really fired me up. And I really thank God for that experience, because I believe that it set me on the path that I'm really on today. But yes, like, I had to disregard, what my family thought about that, because I knew that I needed to be doing this. And I've had to do that along the way, not about my family, but about other people, about the government, about the church, about all kind of folks, right?
Mhm.
That you have to do what you feel called to do.
And that really is so true. I think especially in these times now too. Everyone is some are slowly finding their voices, hopefully. But I think that is one of those things, and I used to say that to my daughters about speaking the truth.
Yeah.
People aren't always gonna wanna hear it, doesn't mean it doesn't need to be said. And so just be okay. Don't expect everyone to go, "Oh, wow, thank you," but still say it. You have to. Otherwise, you are at dis-ease within yourself because you know you've seen something, and if you don't say something, I don't know, I always felt like then, am I being somewhat complicit to a
Mhm.
degree,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so this kind of leads me a little bit because you speak a lot to these resistance systems. And a lot of times you've worked with these systems that are slow to change, right? Deeply in change. We spoke about the church. I want to kind of talk a little bit, have you share a bit about the work that you did with Justice for Julius and how that even came to be.
Yeah, it's wild. I was living in Oklahoma City at the time with my family. I had moved from Virginia there. My husband got a job there, so I was there, and for the first time was thought I was just gonna be a little stay-at-home mom. I had 2 really young babies, and, I had left the Obama administration and was just happy to not be in the rat race of Washington, DC, even though it was a really, really amazing experience and a wonderful opportunity. But I was happy to be in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, just taking care of my little ones. But I came across a story after a few years of being there. Viola Davis produced a documentary for ABC called The Last Defense. And I was home. I happened to watch it. And a very long story short, it was about a man in Oklahoma who had been convicted of a murder 18 to 20 years before. His name was Julius Jones, and his case was highlighted. She highlighted his case because there were so many problems in the case with ineffective counsel, with lack of evidence, with all kind of stuff, right? With
Yeah.
a racially biased jury, like all kind of strange stuff. And it hit me in such a really a profound way. So I found a number for the attorneys of his that I had seen in the documentary. I called the number. It happened to be a number in Arizona, and a woman named Amanda Bass answered, which was Julius Jones's lawyer.
Mm.
And I said, I'm Cece. I live in Oklahoma. I saw this documentary last night, and I don't feel good about being in Oklahoma and this kind of thing happening and not doing something. What can I do? And she said, thank you so much for calling. You're such a nice lady. Write a letter to the governor and, ask him for mercy. And so I hung up with her, but, I was still very bothered because I'm like, a letter doesn't move anybody. Like, what is
I
that?
was just gonna say, I mean, I get
Like,
that, and
yeah, yeah.
did it feel like a pat on the head, like, "Thanks so much, okay, great, do your part, great."
No, it really didn't. I feel like that was the only thing at the moment
Yeah,
that somebody could think might have, that a person in the community could do, right?
right.
So long story short, I didn't feel settled. So I went to social media and posted, "Hey, anybody in Oklahoma, do you guys know the story of Julius Jones? If you're disturbed about it, show up to this church this Saturday at 12 o'clock." Saturday came, 25 people came that I did not know well, but had some kind of way seen my post. And his mom, dad, sister, and brother had heard about my post, and so they showed up as well. So that
Oh,
was
wow,
my
what an
first,
honor.
yeah. So Julius's parents came, and so we all sat in that little church, and none of us were lawyers. None of us had any background in criminal justice. None of us had any background in especially death penalty, because that's a niche of its own. But that was the start of the community coming together. And we came together and built coalition over the course 3.5 years. And Julius was set to be executed November the 18th, 2021.
Mm.
And 4 hours before that scheduled execution, the governor granted him commutation. So he did
Oof,
not die. And there's so much that I can tell you about that. I mean, that's an episode all in itself.
I bet.
But, being in Oklahoma in particular, in states like Oklahoma, I would say, it is very difficult to humanize a Black man who is incarcerated, let alone a Black man who was on death row, right? And so
Yes.
we had our work cut out for us. But we knew that what we were doing was right.
Yeah, yeah.
And no matter what anybody said, no matter even pastors in the area, and that this is what shocked me the most, that pastors, spiritual faith leaders were unwilling to lean in. And I think I went into the situation really naive, that believing that everybody kind of had my values, especially if you're a faith leader. And I was sadly mistaken. So it was a very much an uphill battle.
Ah, well, so because of that, how do you keep your voice steady when all of these systems, especially those, I mean, that must have felt like such a betrayal. I can't think of any other word. Maybe that's a little hyperbolic, but how do you keep, and how did the group keep trudging along when everyone, the systems, all the things that you count on are so uncomfortable with the truth and they know it's the truth?
And they know it's the truth. The DA hated us. The DA at the time hated my guts. He, sent word through another faith leader in town that he knew to tell Cece Jones Davis to shut up and don't have anybody else reach out to him about Julius Jones, because he was going to make sure that Julius Jones fried. And things like that. The governor hated me. The AG hated me and us and the work that we were doing.
Right.
I think, again, a couple things. I come from some stocky women. I come from I come from women
Get it done.
who don't take a whole lot of shit, right?
Yes.
And I mean, that is just the truth about these folks from where I'm from. And so I'm not accustomed to running off, you know? My mother hasn't run off. My grandmother didn't run off. Her mother didn't run off. And if they could stand underneath the weight of racism in the South in the years when they were coming up and moving around the world, then
Yeah.
surely I'm not going to be upset about somebody telling me to shut up. No brick has come through my window, you know,
Yeah.
no cross
Right.
is burning in my yard, you know. So everything is cool. Everything is okay, right? Sticks and stones.
Yep.
So
Yep.
but I also have to say that when you are empowered by the spirit to do a thing, that is another thing altogether, because no matter what, I would get up in the morning and it would be like a brand new engine that would turn on. I would get mad about it again, like I hadn't been working on it for a year, or 3 years. I would get irate every morning about this man's situation, and that would give me the energy, right, to keep
Yep.
on. But it's about being really empowered and fueled by the spirit that calls you to the work in the first place.
Because that's what I was gonna ask is how your faith and the spiritual conviction,
Mm.
how has that shaped the way you lead these difficult conversations? And then you hold the, because you talk, and it's really true. You do have to hold space for possibility for sure, but also a whole lot of pain.
Oh, 100%. But my faith does not avoid pain, you
Yeah.
know? I serve a executed Christ. So my faith does not avoid suffering or pain. It doesn't promise me that I won't suffer, that I won't have pain, right?
Right.
Um, Quite to the contrary. So, going into it, I knew that I would not, that it would not be easy, that it would not be favorable, and still we would have to keep going. Spirituality played a really big part of it. I have to tell you, we prayed every week on a Tuesday at 5 a.m. You know,
Yeah.
we prayed in the evening. Closer we got, the more we prayed, and that's the truth. And so, that's another very honest thing. I believe that prayer moves the hand that moves the world, and
Mhm.
I would not at all sit here and pretend like we did this all ourselves. Yes, we worked very hard, but I believe that there was something much stronger than us working in the background and helping us along the way.
Absolutely, dropping the breadcrumbs, having you kind of figure out where to go and how to go next. Well, so what did you have to learn about caring for yourself? I mean, while you're carrying all of these stories and struggles that are heavy and all of this thing, how do you keep yourself in it, but not of it?
You don't. I don't. I have not learned that separation. I think that I'm a little bit better now having walked through that particular experience, because I could have easily died. I battled a bout of cancer during that campaign.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Um,
Glad you're on the other side.
yes, I'm so glad I am too. I had so many ailments, problems with my heart, problems with my blood pressure, so many problems during that time, right?
Yeah,
And I did not feel that I could stop to really take care of any of it the way that I should. So I really count it as a grace of God that I made it. I mean, and I'm talking about, that's talking about my physical health. You can imagine how gone my mental health was, right?
uh,
My mental health was not good at all, right? I didn't know how to stop thinking about it. I didn't know how to stop working. I didn't know how to unplug. All of that was something very foreign to me. I think that when you really commit yourself to advocacy, advocacy really means allowing somebody else's story to live through you. And that man's story was living through me. I could not have any peace. I could not have any quiet in my mind. And I don't suggest that for anyone, right? I don't suggest
right.
my way to anyone because it was not a healthy place. After his execution was called off, I feel like but I'm just talking about my own experience right now, rolled over the finish line just on like one wheel, like
Oof, like
just,
wibbly wobbly.
yeah, like everything, the car was falling apart. I just rolled over it on with one wheel, and that's all I had. And it took a long time. That was close to Thanksgiving. And I just went home and my mom just gave me pajamas and told everybody, Cece she didn't have it. She can't talk. And, it had gotten to a place where I couldn't even like put a paragraph together. My sentences weren't making sense. I had just been under too much stress for too much time. And so it took a long time for me to recover. It took a long time for the trauma to subside, because when the state of Oklahoma or any other state cordially invites you through letter to witness somebody's execution, you can only imagine the things that happened along the way that led up to that. And so
Yeah.
it took a long time. By the grace of God and community,
Right.
we pushed through.
Yeah, it's what boggles my mind is how a group of folks like the ones you gathered, that all of you who gathered in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Who are people,
That's all.
and you don't know each other, but you're just people that see something wrong, and then the systems that are supposed to protect and make wrong not ha- fix wrong things from happening.
Yeah.
It's like upside down day. It's no reason why I think all of us now are feeling so confused.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the mother of 2 daughters. You've got children. I see so many women who wanna speak up, either about things that they see with themselves personally, either say in the workplace, in their relationships, in school, pick a place, right? And they wanna speak up, but they're afraid, and they're afraid of backlash and isolation, or some might even be of getting it wrong.
Mhm.
What would you say, or what advice would you give to someone who feels called to really speak that unspoken, but isn't sure she's strong enough?
Yeah.
Maybe I have the word yet.
Yeah. Well, first I'll put the responsibility on the women and the people around that person.
The village. Yep.
The village needs to support and uplift folks when they are trying to do the right thing. Folk need to be encouraged. People need to be inspired. People need to know that no matter what the outcome is, somebody's got their back.
Mhm.
There's right now around the country, a movement in high schools where kids are walking out to stand in solidarity with the children who are being taken by ICE. And my daughter's school did that last week. High school did that last week. And, the principal was in an uproar. He sent an email out the week before to parents, about the rumor of kids walking out and what the consequences could be. And all of this. And, I said, look, you still have to, no matter what this email says, you still have to do what is right. And
Mhm.
standing in solidarity with vulnerable kids around this country is very, very important. It is the right thing. And so if it's a suspension, I can deal with a suspension.
Yeah.
Do you guys need posters?
Yeah.
Let's make some posters.
Let's get going.
Whatever, I'll ride alongside you guys as you walk out, whatever it is, right? But
Yep.
people need encouragement. My daughter had to look at me and say, "Is that all right? Is it okay if I get suspended for doing this? Is that okay?" And it was my responsibility to say, "Girl, hell yeah, it's okay. And if you need to walk out for any other reason that's righteous, then you do that too, right? I don't care about a suspension when it comes time. I mean, again, this is a lesson in doing what's right and letting the chips fall wherever they may, right?
Yep.
That's where I'm always going to stand with my children. And that's where I'm always going to stand with other women. And so as the community keeps encouraging that woman who is looking back at us to see if what her action is going to be right, our job is to say, hell yeah, girl. You keep going. You do that thing. And no matter how it turns out, you're going to look back here and you're going to find me because I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm here to support you. That's very, very important to building people's, for us building each other's courage. Very important.
And I think that the beauty of I love all that, and the beauty of that too is it comes from such a place of abundance versus scarcity,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's everyone has there's plenty. There is so much. In fact, if we would all just start stepping up, we might all realize that
That's
too,
good. That's good. Yeah.
right? As opposed to going towards it, as opposed to away from it and staying small. Go ahead, the whole take space, make space, take space. Because when you're coming from that place, that's such a brighter light
I love
as
that. Make
opposed to the
space, take space.
pinpoint of a period, the end.
Yes, I love that. I've never heard that. Make space, take space. I'm gonna take that with me, Kate. Thank you.
Please do. I'm a I'm a big believer. And
Yeah,
that could be vocally, that can be just energetically, spiritually, all of that for sure.
yeah.
And it's really true. People, you're not always going to be, it's not always going to be popular. But again, like everything we've been saying, it needs to happen and needs to be
It
done.
does. And let me just jump in and also say that realistically, some of us wear capes from time to time.
Mm,
Some of us play the roles of sheroes and Wonder Women and all of that. But there comes a moment where all of us have to take the cape off. And all we are people, and so I'm not here to suggest that rejection does not hurt. I'm not
mm,
here to suggest that misunderstanding doesn't hurt. I'm not here to suggest that loneliness and isolation does not hurt, because it does. It does. It hurts to be misunderstood. It hurts to be thought of as the angry Black woman. It
yep.
hurts to feel like people can't see that what you are speaking about is like a real issue or a real thing, right? And that you're just a troublemaker. It hurts. And I don't want to at all even indirectly suggest that all of this is like extremely easy. Again, I just
Right.
think that courage is built one step at a time, one action at a time, one opportunity to be courageous at a time is how courage works, right?
Yep.
And so, but that does not mean that there is not pain that comes along with that. And so I just wanted to honor that truth as well, because there is
Mhm.
pain.
Yeah. And when you're feeling it, you're not alone.
That's
And
right.
that's another thing too, is it's a beautiful opportunity to be vulnerable. And again, ask for help and some refueling, nurturing that others probably would love to give. But again, I think it's just for opening up. And the more open we are, the more open everything becomes and we can speak more to things. Oh my gosh. Well, last question for you, mon ami. Knowing what you know now and have lived, and
Mhm.
you're just getting started, I
Mhm.
know that.
Mhm.
Um, what advice would you give your younger self?
You're gonna be okay.
Mm,
You're gonna be okay. I would just let my younger self know you're going to be okay. And you matter. I would tell my younger self that
mm,
you matter. And I would meet it in this way. A lot of times when people feel called to do some form of public service or work in the public square, we very much feel like we must live total and complete sacrificial lives, which
mm,
really takes away from our own self-care, right? And
yep.
wellness. And I would tell that girl, have balance. Remember that the world isn't just dark, it's light too. That every battle is not yours to fight. And you have to be really, really discerning about what you are called to, right? Everybody is not called to everything. So be very discerning about what you're called to. And in the meantime, take care of yourself. Because if there's not no you, there's no work for you to do.
Right.
And so, I would tell my younger self that, and I keep telling my older self that all the time, all the time.
So that's so true. So then how do you decide? How do you know? I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Mhm.
How do you know what's yours
Mhm.
versus how do you discern which isn't? I'm thinking physical, it just lands. You feel it. You just know like you know.
Yeah,
I don't know how to
I feel like it's a holistic mess is what I feel like. When you're called to something, it feels there's something that happens in you spiritually where you know like there's something that's been targeted in you and it keeps ringing. It keeps ringing in your spiritual ears. It keeps nagging at you.
getting louder and louder.
Louder and louder and louder. And that's why I had to make that phone call to that attorney because it was bothering me. It was louder and louder and louder, right? But then, like, we have to start listening to our bodies more. There is a way that things settle in your body that make you say, "Go forward" or "Stay back."
Mhm.
And so the combination, I think, of the spiritual and the physical, kinda lets you know, and you can sit there and you'll question it for some time, and it'll still keep letting you know. When you've had enough of the nag, is when you start leaning in. This is something I wanna also say, Kate.
Mhm.
Uh, when we talk a lot about passions. What's your passion? Move
Mhm.
towards your passion. What is it that you love? Go towards your passion. Well, I don't only understand passion in terms of the things that I love. I most understand passion in terms of the things that I hate, right?
Ah, brilliant. Yes.
And I encourage other people to consider that as well because my passion drove me again to work with Julius and his family and the community, and it was a global community. It was a national community. People from everywhere came together to work really hard. It wasn't that I loved what I saw. It was that I hated with a passion what I saw. I hated the idea that a state could execute somebody who was innocent. I hated that a family was suffering in the way that they were. I hated the way that the whole family's life had been derailed by the criminal justice system gone wrong, right? I hated the
Yep.
racism of Oklahoma. And so I say that to say, sometimes we have to move toward the things that we hate.
Yep.
And I think sometimes that is, in a lot of cases, the best indicator that we're being called to something.
And that's where the alchemy happens,
Mhm. Absolutely.
right? You stand toe to toe. And there's sometimes that feeling where you're like, "Oh, I have yes, I may have a choice, but I just have to do this even though I see the herald road ahead of me." Oh my gosh. Oh, Cece, I'm gonna set us up to have so many more conversations.
I would love it. Kate, I would absolutely love it. You're so easy to talk to. Thank you for having me again.
Awesome. All right. Until our thank you so much, Women Advancing listeners. Yay, yay, yay for Cece and all of her work. There are going to be some links to some of the movements that she's involved in. And I look forward to our conversation continuing.
Absolutely, sis. Absolutely.
Amazing, right? The courage that Cece Jones Davis has will never cease to amaze me. So many takeaways. Speak the truth. You know, that's a big favorite of mine, but do it knowingly that there potentially will be some costs. Doesn't mean it doesn't need to be said. Just be prepared that the chips are going to have to fall where they may, for sure. And that's part of it, right? When we see something that we don't like, if we don't say something, it's going to really feel uncomfortable in you because you'll know that you didn't speak your truth. And that's not a long-term game at all, not even a short-term game. We all find the need to wear capes, be sheroes. There comes a time when we need to take those off because if we completely deplete ourselves, there will be no work. While the issue matters, you matter. So this is a way of making sure that you get a little bit of balance, a little bit of cape care. And the issue, sure, everyone talks a lot about following your passion by all means, but oftentimes the greatest lessons come from having, especially in justice work, facing those issues where you see such just wrong. And that's where you have extreme courage and you'll become so intimately familiar with your own incredible courage that is deep within you. And when we being the village around, see you taking those actions, it is our responsibility to support, have your back, and keep you going by shouting resoundingly, hell yeah, girl, go for it. So with that, Thanks for joining. I look forward to our next conversation. Thanks for listening. May this episode inspire you to move forward. Be sure to go to iTunes, Spotify, katebyrne.co, that's KATEBYRNE.co, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, and listen to even more episodes. Here's to strong women. May we know them, may we be them, may we raise them. And be sure to meet them on the next Women Advancing. Till next time.